Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and today we're going to do an update on the pond. About 18 months ago, I decided to do an expansion, and I added all of this part over here. We put in the island, the bridge, the windmill, another aerator. We extended the bank along the back side, made it wider, made it taller, and we're setting up to do a second bridge here. I've also added an overflow, and I've raised this bank on this side. So I've probably done at least 20 videos working on this pond, and we just had a big rainfall that ended a couple hours ago, and I kind of want to come down here and see, is it working? What parts of the property around the pond are still holding water? Are our drain lines flowing into the pond? What about the swales? And just do a big update, because in the next couple months I'm going to start working on it again and go to the next phase of this and get grass seed planted everywhere. So I guess we'll start where I'm at and look at the drain line I put in just right over here. I put in like a 200-foot French drain, because basically it would stay muddy up between the pond and the house, which is less than 100 yards from here is our house, and it would stay muddy in between here, so I put in a French drain to pull water down to the pond. So let's see how that's working. See the snake skin at the end of the drain pipe? So we've got a pretty good flow right there. If I go upstream from it where I dug, there's no standing water where I dug this, but there is still standing water on each side. Not over here actually, but on this side of it, it's a little bit lower and it'll puddle a little bit there. But that drain line is definitely still working. All right, so every winter the pond gets really low and it's a little bit depressing, but a lot more so this year because I had the leaking back bank, and I wanted to know, is what we did over there working? And there's no way to know. I think the water level was even below where the leak was. But that happens every winter, and the fact I made the pond bigger made it even worse this year. So I am excited. We've got water under the bridge for the first time. It had got so low that the two sides were separated from each other. Now we've got water under the bridge. Everything looks good with the bridge so far, no erosion. You can see right here, this side is the electric aerator. I've got an install video on how we added an electric aerator without bringing electricity down here, and that's worked great. That's been a year and a half ago that we did that, and you can see it's pumping right there on this side. Then the windmill aerates the other side of the pond. So the bridge is holding up good. Everything looks good with it. To this point, we don't have any erosion next to the bridge yet, but it seems like that will eventually happen. So I need to get a layer of topsoil everywhere that there's clay, and I've already got bags of grass seed up in the shop ready to put down out here and try to get this, because having that grass and any kind of vegetation rooting is what's going to keep that erosion from happening. I've got a couple of videos on why I chose the American Eagle windmill and the install and everything about it. So I'll put all these videos in the description, or at least the pond playlist. Windmill's been fantastic, thrilled with that. You can see one aeration spot over here, and the second one's a little harder to see, but out there in the middle, we've got those two aerators run off the windmill. Now here is where we got the auger on the skid loader, and we set these piers. They're about 3 feet below ground and 2 feet above ground with a 4-foot sonotube. The concrete actually went lower than the sonotube, but those are set, and they've already got the J-bolts in them, set in them, ready to set the bridge on it and bolt it down. But I have to do prep work on both sides to have a good spot with concrete to set the bridge on. We set concrete blocks in here. We've got 2 feet from the edge to the concrete, and then long rebar sticking down right there that's wrapped over the corner of the bridge. Now this is where I dug a swale. Again, this was about a 200-foot swale. Everyone was concerned in the videos that it was gonna wash out and just keep getting deeper, but I didn't have that problem. Grass has grown across it almost all the way down to the very end. This last 10 feet or so, we don't have any grass growing yet. Need to get some seed out here. As you can see, it stopped raining a couple hours ago and we still have a flow of water. Basically with the swale, I didn't get the end of it shaped exactly the way I wanted because I did it in stages. I did the swale and then the expansion, and then I reshaped behind the swale and had to build it up to put the bridge, and then I cut this bank to a different angle. So this bank came out to where the water level is and then dropped straight down. It was all the way out and then a drop off. And I cut from there back and put this slope in all the way around the pond. Then the second swale is down at this end. We're holding a little bit of water right over here. And that was the other goal, is to avoid holding water on the uphill from the pond. So I think I may come in one more time. So I think it's higher. I can get the transit out and find out, but I think we're a little higher right here at the bank than we are over here. And if I knock just a little bit off right here, it would help that water run down. But you can already see where that standing water is. Water's running down on its own quite a bit. So I'm not sure if it's downhill or not. You can see all these washouts where it's running down. And then here's the swale that I dug before anything else. The first thing I really did to the pond was a truck got stuck up here and water was standing in this whole area up here. And now I've got it draining down this. The deer love the pond. They're down here every morning and every night. Usually in the evening we'll have at least 10 deer down here. Now this part I didn't do a whole lot. The only thing I did right here is just kind of scoop this out just a little bit more of a gradual slope. But the biggest project was down here, and I'll quickly tell the story for people who weren't following the channel in the summer. This bank over here was about 2 feet wide. And it seemed like this dam was leaking and flooding the neighbor's property. And that was a big problem for me that I didn't want to let continue. So without draining the pond down while it was still pretty full, we started at that end, and I can't really describe it. You'd have to watch it. But we were digging the bank out and building it up while we drove across it with the mini excavator. And we took this from about 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet, out to about 8 to 10 feet wide. We raised it. This is about 2 feet higher than it was. Water was able to run over the back of it. This was completely unpassable. I couldn't even get a mower across it. Now I can drive the tractor down this back bank. And the big question is, did all this we added right here, we added all this clay that I dug up from other places. We added hundreds of tons of clay, and then we put bentonite clay on top of that other clay. The big question is, did we fix this leak? And I think so, but we won't know until the pond fills up. All of this where you see there's no grass and then it turns into grass, I pulled sod off other parts of the property and laid it down with the skid loader right here in sheets. This is the neighbor's property where he said it was so wet he couldn't get back here. It was flooded and he has to get back here to feed his horses. And it looks dry from here. I'm gonna try to get a better look in a minute. So right here is where we were flooding from the pond, I believe. And this is dry right here. So right there, that patch right there is one place where I took the sod to put over here. So you can see there's a dirt strip. You can also see water stands right here. So the lowest corner of the property is down there, but it looks like between there and here, we've got it lower here than higher in the middle. So I need to bring in some dirt to fill here, and then I think I'm gonna run a drain line from all the way up there, all the way down across where I got the skid loader stuck, and out to the road, and try to drain the property that way. All of this was cut back and widened and made bigger. This is where I need to cut a square right here and put concrete in for this end of the bridge to set on. There's one end of the pipe. There is the other end of the pipe that serves as our overflow. I almost wish I hadn't went around that way, but I wanted to show a 360-degree view of the pond, and I made some tracks over there sunk in the mud a little bit, but that'll be easy to fix. I'm gonna put a layer of topsoil all the way around that bank and get it seeded. The water level right now is probably normal for this time of year, but it was about a foot lower than this at the end of that drought we had this summer, and it was really looking bad. I managed to get rid of it. It was covered in lily pads. I managed to get rid of all those lily pads, and I'm really happy with the progress, but the work's not done. So if you have any suggestions about what you see here, I'd be glad to read them in the comments. Otherwise, I look forward to making some more content and getting back to work on this pond. I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.